The ancient warning. The communication chamber of the Vraxian Empire's capital ship fell silent as the holographic message began to play. The figure that appeared was unlike anything most of the assembled officers had ever seen. The ethereal being was tall and impossibly thin, its translucent body shimmering with an inner light that seemed to come from another dimension. Its face was ancient beyond measure, with eyes that held the weight of countless millennia. Admiral Zeth Corvanus stood at the center of the chamber, his forearms folded across his chest. His species, the Vraxians, had ruled over 200 worlds across the galaxy. They were tall, powerful beings with skin that shifted between deep purple and silver depending on their mood. Zeth's skin currently showed the dark purple of skepticism and barely contained irritation. The ethereal's voice resonated through the chamber like the whisper of solar winds across empty space. "Children of Vrax, we bring you urgent counsel. The third world of the yellow star system you call Sol 3 is not what it appears. The humans have made their world into something terrible. Do not approach their domain. Turn your fleets away while you still possess the wisdom to do so. This is not mere advice we offer, but a desperate warning born from knowledge you do not yet understand." The message ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Admiral Corvanus let out a sound that was part laugh, part growl. His skin shifted to a lighter shade, showing his amusement. "The ethereals grow desperate in their old age," he said, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 12 star systems personally. "They ruled the galaxy when our ancestors were still learning to harness fire. Now they hide in the dark corners of space, watching their influence fade. They do not want to see our empire claim the prize they never dared to touch." High Commander Vex Thanos, Corvanus' second-in-command, stepped forward. His skin was scarred from a dozen battles, and his eyes held the hard gleam of a soldier who had never known defeat. "Admiral, the human world has been under our observation for 37 standard years. Our intelligence networks have mapped every military installation, every population center, every orbital platform. They possess fewer than 150 vessels capable of interplanetary combat. Their most advanced weapons are crude fusion devices. What trap could such primitives possibly construct?" The war room's main display activated, showing detailed scans of Earth and its solar system. The planet appeared peaceful from space, its blue oceans and white clouds creating a beautiful marble against the black of space. Cities glowed softly on the night side, showing the warm light of a civilization that seemed completely unprepared for interstellar warfare. Defense Minister Kayla Roth, a female Vraxian with silver-streaked skin indicating her advanced age and wisdom, moved closer to the display. She had served the Empire for over 2 centuries and had seen the rise and fall of countless species. "The ethereals have witnessed the birth and death of civilizations we have never heard of," she said carefully. "Perhaps their warning carries more weight than we assume." Corvanus turned to face her, his skin darkening with displeasure. "Minister Roth, are you suggesting that a species that still uses chemical propulsion for their spacecraft could pose a threat to the might of the Vraxian Empire? Our shields can withstand the collision of small asteroids. Our weapons can crack the crust of a planet. What could these humans possibly do to harm us?" The discussion was interrupted as the chamber doors opened. 2 guards escorted a pair of human prisoners into the room, the only humans the Empire had successfully captured during their long surveillance of Earth. The first was Marcus Chen, a former captain in Earth's small space defense force. He was a man in his 40s with graying hair and intelligent eyes that seemed to take in everything around him. The second prisoner was Dr. Sarah Martinez, a xenobiologist, who had been studying the possibility of alien contact when their research vessel was captured 6 months earlier. Both humans wore the standard restraints used for dangerous prisoners, though to the Vraxians they hardly seemed threatening. Their pale skin looked fragile compared to the tough hides of their captors, and their small stature made them appear almost childlike in the vast chamber. Corvanus approached the prisoners, towering over them by nearly 2 meters. "Humans," he said, his translator converting his words into their primitive language. "Your species interests us greatly. In all our observations, we have found you to be remarkably persistent. You fight wars constantly, destroy your own environment, yet somehow continue to survive and even thrive. Tell me, What defenses does your world possess that could threaten an empire that spans 200 star systems? Marcus looked up at the alien admiral without flinching. Despite his situation, his voice remained steady. We've told you everything we know. Earth has some orbital platforms, a few dozen patrol ships, and ground-based defense systems. Nothing that could stop a force like yours. But that doesn't mean we'll make it easy for you. Dr. Martinez stepped forward as much as her restraints would allow. Admiral Corvanus, isn't it? I've studied your species from the data we've gathered. You're conquerors, but you're also pragmatists. You didn't build an empire this large by making foolish decisions. Maybe you should listen to the Ethereal's warning. The Admiral's skin shifted to an even darker purple, showing his growing irritation. Doctor, your concern for our well-being is touching but unnecessary. We have studied your world more thoroughly than you might imagine. We know the location of every major city, every military base, every resource deposit. Your species has shown impressive ingenuity in developing technology, despite your limitations. But ingenuity cannot overcome the fundamental laws of physics. High Commander Thanos activated a tactical display showing the planned invasion route. The human solar system consists of 8 major planets and 1 asteroid belt. Their defensive installations are concentrated around their homeworld and its single moon. Our fleet of 800 warships will approach from 3 different vectors, overwhelming their defenses through sheer numbers and superior firepower. The operation should be completed within 72 standard hours. As the tactical briefing continued, neither the Vraxian officers nor their human prisoners noticed the subtle changes beginning to occur throughout the Sol system. Deep within the asteroid belt, objects that had appeared to be ordinary rocks for decades were slowly awakening. On the far side of Earth's moon, construction projects that had been dismissed as minor research installations were coming online. Throughout the outer solar system, what had been catalogued as space debris and natural phenomena were beginning to reveal their true nature. The Ethereal's warning had come too late, not because the Vraxians had already launched their invasion, but because humanity had spent the last 40 years preparing for exactly this moment. Every year of surveillance, every intelligence gathering, mission, every captured human had been part of a larger plan that the Empire had never suspected. Dr. Martinez caught Marcus's eye and saw the same grim knowledge reflected there. They both understood something the Vraxians did not. The trap had been set long before the Empire had even discovered Earth. The question was not whether humanity could defend itself, but whether they could spring their trap without revealing how long they had been preparing for this war. The Vraxian fleet began its journey toward the Sol system 3 days later. 800 of the Empire's most advanced warships, each one capable of destroying an entire city with a single shot, moved through hyperspace toward what they believed would be an easy conquest. Admiral Corvanus stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace flow past the viewports. "Admiral," reported Navigation Officer Dex Cole, "we will arrive at the outer edge of the Sol system in approximately 18 standard hours. All ships report ready for combat operations." Corvanus nodded, his skin showing the silver of confidence, mixed with anticipation. In 18 hours, the Vraxian Empire would claim its 201st world. The humans would join the long list of species that had learned to kneel before Vraxian might. The Ethereal's warning would be revealed as the desperate fear of a dying civilization. But as the fleet traveled through hyperspace, deep in the Sol system, humanity was making its final preparations. Commander Elena Vasquez stood in the command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching displays that showed the true extent of Earth's defenses. She was a small woman with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war, but her voice carried absolute authority when she spoke. "All stations, report status," she commanded. "Asteroid Belt Defense Network is fully operational," came the first response. 437 weapon platforms are standing by. Lunar Command reports all systems green. Primary and secondary batteries are charged and ready. Outer system patrol ships are in position. The enemy fleet will be tracked from the moment they enter normal space. Terrestrial defense grids are online. All major cities are prepared for evacuation or transformation to combat mode as needed. Commander Vasquez nodded grimly. 40 years of preparation were about to be put to the ultimate test. The Vraxians thought they were conquering a primitive world defended by obsolete technology. They were about to discover that Earth had become something unprecedented in galactic history. An entire solar system transformed into a single massive weapon. The trap was set. The Ethereal's warning had come too late. All that remained was to see whether humanity's desperate gamble would be enough to survive the storm that was coming. The perfect trap springs. The Vraxian fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system in perfect formation. 800 warships materialized simultaneously, their dark hulls reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. Admiral Corvanus stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical displays with satisfaction. Everything appeared exactly as their intelligence reports had predicted. All ships report successful transition to normal space, announced Communications Officer Zell Varn. No signs of enemy activity detected. The system appears to be completely undefended at this perimeter. Corvanus allowed himself a moment of vindication. The Ethereal's warning had been nothing more than the fearful rambling of a species that had lost its nerve. "Begin advance toward the inner system," he commanded. "Maintain formation Delta 7. I want overwhelming force concentrated on the human homeworld within 12 standard hours." The massive fleet began its journey toward Earth, moving past the outer gas giants with their retinue of moons. Long-range sensors detected several small human observation posts on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, exactly where intelligence had predicted they would be. These installations made no attempt to hide or flee. They simply watched the approaching armada with what appeared to be resignation. High Commander Thanos studied the sensor readings with growing confidence. The humans are not even attempting to evacuate their outer system installations. They appear to be completely paralyzed by the sight of our fleet. What the Vraxians didn't realize was that the small installations were indeed watching, but not with resignation. Deep within those, seemingly vulnerable outposts, human technicians were feeding precise tracking data to Earth's defense network. Every ship in the Vraxian fleet was being cataloged, analyzed, and marked for destruction. Commander Elena Vasquez watched the enemy fleet's approach from her underground command center. Banks of displays showed the tactical situation in real time, fed by sensors the Vraxians had never detected. "Fleet is maintaining their predicted approach vector," she reported to her staff. "They're taking the bait perfectly." Dr. Rebecca Foster, Earth's Chief of Defense Technology, stood beside her. She was a brilliant woman whose theories about multi-dimensional physics had made humanity's defensive systems possible. "All quantum, resonance weapons are charging on schedule. The fleet is moving directly into our primary kill zone." The Vraxian fleet continued its steady advance, passing through the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Admiral Corvanus noted the presence of several mining installations among the floating rocks. Just as intelligence had reported, some of the asteroids were quite large, small mountains of metal and stone that tumbled slowly through space. "Sir," reported sensor operator Nix Hell, "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from a few of the larger asteroids. Very faint, could be natural electromagnetic phenomena." Corvanus barely glanced at the report. "Asteroids often contain significant metal deposits. Natural electromagnetic activity is common. Continue the advance." That decision would haunt him for the rest of his very short life. The first indication that something was wrong came when asteroid designation 4 Alpha suddenly bloomed like a deadly flower. What had appeared to be solid rock split apart in precisely engineered sections, revealing the massive weapon platform hidden within. The disguised installation was larger than most Vraxian warships, bristling with energy cannons that had been charging for the past 6 months. The opening salvo vaporized 3 Vraxian destroyers before they could even detect the threat. "Contact! Contact!" screamed the communications officer as similar transformations began occurring throughout the asteroid belt. Dozens of seemingly natural objects revealed themselves to be sophisticated weapons platforms, each one positioned to create devastating crossfire patterns. Admiral Corvanus watched in shock as his perfectly ordered fleet suddenly found itself trapped in a killing field. Evasive maneuvers. All ships returned fire immediately. But the Vraxian weapons were designed to fight other starships in open space, not hidden installations that could disappear behind genuine asteroids after each attack. The human platforms used the natural cover of the belt to devastating effect, striking and vanishing before the Empire's targeting systems could lock onto them. "We've lost 63 ships in the past 4 minutes," reported Thanos, his voice strained with disbelief. "The enemy installations are using some kind of stealth technology we've never encountered." The truth was simpler and more terrifying. Humanity had spent decades studying Vraxian technology through captured equipment and careful observation. They knew exactly how Imperial sensors worked, and they had designed their weapons to exploit every weakness in those systems. Corvallis made a command decision that would save some of his fleet but doom his invasion. "All ships, maximum acceleration. Break through the asteroid belt and proceed to the inner system. We cannot fight an enemy we cannot see." The surviving Vraxian ships pushed through the deadly asteroid field, leaving behind nearly 100 destroyed vessels. As they emerged into the clear space between Mars and Earth, the fleet had been reduced to 700 ships, still a formidable force, but no longer the overwhelming armada that had begun the attack. "Sir," called the navigation officer, "approaching Earth's moon. No signs of defensive activity from the satellite." Corvallis studied the tactical display showing Earth's moon. Intelligence reports indicated it housed several small research installations and mining operations, but nothing that could threaten a fleet of this size. The moon appeared peaceful, its gray surface marked only by ancient craters and the small domes of human facilities. "The moon is of no strategic importance," Corvallis decided. "All ships will bypass the satellite and proceed directly to Earth orbit. We will establish positions for planetary bombardment and force their surrender." That was his second fatal mistake. As the Vraxian fleet moved past Earth's moon, the satellite's surface began to change. What had appeared to be ancient crater walls suddenly folded back, revealing massive installation beneath. The entire moon had been hollowed out and converted into the largest weapons platform in human history. Energy cannons the size of city blocks rose from concealed positions. Missile batteries that had been disguised as research domes opened to reveal their true purpose. The human installations that the Vraxians had dismissed as primitive mining operations were revealed to be control centers for the most sophisticated weapon system ever constructed. Luna Base Command activated every weapon simultaneously. The lunar assault was unlike anything in the recorded history of galactic warfare. Beams of coherent energy lanced out from the moon's surface, each one capable of destroying a capital ship with a single hit. Missiles launched in coordinated swarms, their guidance systems locked onto specific targets in the Vraxian fleet. "Impossible," Corvallis shouted as he watched his fleet begin to disintegrate under the lunar bombardment. "How did they hollow out an entire moon without our surveillance detecting it?" The answer was that humanity had been working on the project for nearly 30 years. Using techniques that made their excavation appear to be simple mining operations. Every ton of rock removed from the moon's interior had been carefully disguised as routine mineral extraction. The Vraxians had been watching the construction of their own doom and had catalogued it as harmless industrial activity. "Admiral," called High Commander Thanos, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface." The main display activated, to show a human in military uniform. Commander Elena Vasquez looked directly at Admiral Corvallis with eyes that held no mercy. "Admiral Corvallis of the Vraxian Empire, I am Commander Elena Vasquez of Earth Defense Command. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender your remaining ships and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning." Corvallis's skin shifted to deep purple with rage. "Humans? You think your tricks and deceptions can defeat the might of the Vraxian Empire? We still have 600 ships. Your world will burn for this treachery." Commander Vasquez's expression didn't change. "Admiral, you still don't understand. Let me show you what you've really stumbled into." New contacts began appearing on Vraxian sensors as stealth fields deactivated throughout the solar system. Human warships emerged from hiding positions behind planets, in asteroid clusters, within the rings of Saturn. These were not the primitive vessels intelligence had reported, but sleek advanced ships that had been designed specifically to fight Vraxians. 240 enemy vessels now on sensors, reported the Vraxian tactical officer. "Sir, these ships are using technology we don't recognize. Their energy signatures are completely different from previous intelligence reports." The human fleet moved with precision that spoke of years of training and preparation. Every ship knew exactly where to go. Every captain understood their role in the larger battle plan. This was not a desperate defense by a primitive species, but the execution of a carefully crafted strategy that had been decades in the making. Admiral Sarah Kim commanded the human fleet from her flagship, the ESS Defiance. She was a woman who had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, studying Vraxian tactics and developing countermeasures. "All ships, execute Plan Omega. Target their command vessels first. Cut off the head, and the body will follow." The space battle that followed would be studied in military academies for generations. Human ships used their superior maneuverability to devastating effect, darting between the larger Vraxian vessels like deadly predators. Their weapons, designed specifically to penetrate Imperial shielding, tore through enemy defenses with terrifying efficiency. But humanity's most devastating weapon was still to come. Dr. Rebecca Foster watched her instruments carefully as the quantum resonance generators reached full power. "All quantum weapons are charged and ready," she reported to Commander Vasquez. "Recommend immediate deployment." "Fire when ready, Doctor." The quantum weapons were humanity's greatest secret, developed from theories that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Instead of trying to overwhelm Vraxian shields with brute force, the quantum resonance beams passed through energy barriers as if they didn't exist, attacking the molecular structure of enemy ships directly. Vraxian vessels began to simply come apart, their hulls dissolving at the atomic level. Weapons, engines, life support systems. Everything started to fail simultaneously as the quantum fields disrupted the very bonds that held matter together. "Our ships are disintegrating," screamed High Commander Thanos. "Admiral, we have to retreat. This is not a battle we can win." Corvallis stared at the tactical display in stunned horror. His invincible fleet had been reduced to fewer than 300 ships, and those were dying by the dozens with each passing minute. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a weapon, and the Vraxians had flown directly into it. "All ships," he commanded with a voice heavy with defeat. "Emergency retreat, maximum speed to the outer system." But even retreat was part of humanity's plan. As the surviving Vraxian ships tried to flee, they found their escape routes blocked by more hidden weapon platforms. Humanity had anticipated this moment and prepared for it. The asteroid belt had been only the first layer of their defenses. Every possible escape route was covered by overlapping fields of fire. Of the 800 ships that had begun the invasion, fewer than 50 escaped to tell the tale of humanity's trap. Admiral Corvallis was not among the survivors. His flagship was destroyed by quantum resonance weapons as he tried to reach the outer system. Commander Vasquez watched the last of the enemy ships disappear into hyperspace from her command center. Around her, the staff worked to assess the battle's aftermath and begin cleanup operations. "Final casualty report," she requested. "Enemy losses: 752 vessels destroyed or disabled. Human losses: 37 ships damaged, 6 destroyed. No damage to terrestrial installations or civilian populations." It was the most one-sided victory in recorded galactic history. An empire that had conquered 200 worlds had been utterly defeated by a species they had considered primitive. Dr. Foster joined the commander at the main display. "The ethereals were right about one thing," she said quietly. "Earth was indeed a trap, but they were wrong about who had set it." Somewhere in the depths of space, the surviving ethereals received the news of the battle's outcome. The ancient beings nodded sadly, knowing that their warning had come too late not for the Vraxians, but for the galaxy itself. Humanity had revealed its true nature, and the universe would never be the same. The trap had been perfect, and it had worked exactly as designed. Earth remained free, but the galaxy had gained a new power that would reshape the balance of civilizations for millennia to come. The Vraxians had learned too late that sometimes the most dangerous trap is the one that looks like easy prey.